is story mother freaking time. Thank you for joining. Okay, so today we will tell another nursing story. So some time ago, I picked up at this facility way out in West Bumble Frick. And it definitely did seem like when I got there, they did a lot of things in a very old school fashion. I didn't care. I just wanted to get through the 12-hour shift, which is my approach to every single shift. So anyways, fast forward, of course I get the patient that is losing her mind. She is disrespectful. Anybody that goes in that room, she's got something inappropriate to say. And I feel like I would love to say that she was confused, but I don't know that I believe that, so I'm not gonna say it. So it was a lot of fighting, it was a lot of kicking, a lot of screaming, a lot of threatening, a lot of trying to jump out the bed. Apparently the previous shift had attempted to do wrist restraints. There are multiple different forms of restraints to prevent a patient from hurting themselves or other people. And it didn't work because it looked like homegirl was turning into a contortionist. And she was putting herself at risk for breaking bones. So anyways, we ended up having to do this special kind of restraint. The one where you basically have to barricade her. Like we can see through, but she can't do anything. She can't get out the bed. We had to take the sheets away. We had to take the leads off of her chest. We had to take the little pulse oximeter off of her finger. And at that point I'm thinking, if we have to take all of these monitoring devices off, what are we doing? We can't even see what her heart looks like. We can't see what her oxygen looks like. We can't see anything. She won't let us draw her labs, draw blood. She won't let me check her sugar. She was diabetic. It was just a show from top to bottom, beginning to end. So not only did she have that super special restraint, that barrier.
And now Wonder Woman's golden lasso of truth.
She had a sitter because homegirl had already proven to be very creative. So the sitter was just monitoring her behavior. She was still in there yelling and screaming and kicking and trying to bust her way out of that barrier. And I guess it would be appropriate to say that she was confused, because if she wasn't confused, obviously we would have just let her go. But there's also other circumstances where psychologically they're not safe to be outside of a hospital where we can do our best to control the outcome. So I realized maybe about 6 hours into the shift that things were getting a little too quiet. Now, I say too quiet not because I wanted her to lose her mind and continue to act an ass in that room, but because it was a little too sudden. Like, what happened? It's like parents with kids. You hear all that ruckus and the loudness and the noise, and then the minute you hear silence, you're like, nah. What's going on in there? So I go into the room and I'm looking at the patient as I'm talking to the sitter, and I'm like, what's up? Obviously I can see that the patient is a lot more quiet, but I'm concerned. Why are you more quiet? I go a little bit closer, I see that she's just drenched in sweat and she's shaking. And she's very lethargic, you know, she's hardly opening her eyes, she's not responding to me, and by not responding I mean she's not cussing me out. And I was like, shiitake mushrooms, she is probably having a hypoglycemic episode, meaning her blood sugar plummeted. Now, remember I told y'all she wouldn't let anybody do anything. And nobody really wanted to continue attempting to put their safety at risk. I mean, homegirl was losing her mind. Did we come up with a name for homegirl? I don't think we did. We will call her Sasha. That's what we'll call her. I checked Sasha's sugar. 48. My friends, we like blood sugars to be above 70, and we don't even really begin to treat it with insulin until we see maybe 180. Some people, you know, a little less controlled. It's a little lower than that. But still, 48? So I go tell my charge nurse what's going on. I'm like, I'm gonna go push the dextrose, which is sugar, to make her blood sugar go up. And she was like,
whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing? She's quiet.
Quiet and almost dead. I don't feel like it's not the same. That's not the same. And she's my patient. Yeah. So if she dies, I don't think that a solid rationale would be, hey, she was quiet. Yeah, so that would lead to the immediate confiscation of my license. So anyways, I'm gonna treat her. You know, this charge nurse got salty with me for wanting to treat this patient because it would inevitably lead to her going back to losing her mind and yelling and cussing and screaming. Okay, nobody wanted that, but I need my license. Let's just weigh here. Let's weigh, okay? I treated her, but she didn't end up going back to her spunky self. Obviously, because she wouldn't let anybody do anything, we couldn't draw her blood, we couldn't give antibiotics, we could do nothing. Her illness, her diagnosis progressed. You come to the hospital so that we can treat you to get you better. You don't let us treat you, you don't get better, you get worse. So now that she's a lot more lethargic, meaning she's just slow to respond, droopy, loopy, we could draw her blood now. We can start to do things that she wouldn't let us do. It sucked that it had to get to this point, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to ignore things just for the sake of her being quiet. This charge nurse did not talk to me for the rest of the flippin' shift. I went up to her to let her know I was going to take my lunch break. She did not respond to me, not a word, did not acknowledge my existence. So the end of the shift comes. She pulls me aside to say,
you know, Ashley, I just feel like you weren't understanding how tired the staff was.
Oh, okay. So in the future, I'll check with the staff before I consider risking my license. Silly me! Silly me! Silly me. Yeah, so that's exactly what I said. She didn't like that either. I don't give a flying fuck. Okay? I also decided I didn't want to work there anymore. But in those instances, and maybe it's my pride or my ego talking, but I felt like, okay, maybe I should pick up a shift there again just so that I can show her her attitude and her insanity did not negatively affect me, and that I'm still gonna come to work and do my job despite your poor judgment. So yeah, anyways, make sure you go and buy my book. Click the link in this little box down at the bottom. Subscribe, read my kindleVella episodes. You're gonna love it. Thank you for joining.